for Business Incubation Center, State Ministry of Research and Technology, Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cristanto Santosa, to share to us the Indonesian experience.
Good morning. It's good to be back in Manila. Microphone. It's good to be back in Manila after 34 years. I was here back in 1983 to do something within food, because at that time my company was working with Nabisco brand, and then we were asked to go to Manila to learn how the Filipinos make planter spinach. And so I went to Singapore after that to learn how to make Pringles potato chips. Yeah, but it's 34 years ago, and it was not a very good time to come to Manila, because the same day I landed, there was a time when your late Senator Aquino was buried for a good funeral. So it's a bit chaotic situation. Anyway, so I'd like to present what we have, but I was very concerned that Indonesia is very new on this food innovation in terms of organizing efforts. But I learned that many countries also said that they are new, so I'm not alone, so I feel a bit relieved on that. So this Innovation Center was actually initiated by our Indonesian National Association for Food and Beverage Manufacturers, Industry Entrepreneurs. And then this is my organization, it's 10 years old. We are an NGO who promote innovation to the business. And then we are also engaged with the Australian National CSIRO, it's the Institute of Sciences in Australia. And we are also new, it's only a few months, actually 1 year old, and we haven't really established our programs on what to do. But so I was lucky that I can learn from you all on how to start with this innovation efforts. And more than on top of that, actually, there's big potential for us as Asian countries to work together on innovation in food. Well, it's still wishful, hope that we are going to do this. We just established as a foundation, it's an NGO, and it's timely that Indonesia is going into a negotiation with Australia. We have the CACIA funds, Indonesia, Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, and out of the many candidates to become early outcomes, finally IFIC becomes the only in the food sectors and research sectors to work between Indonesia and Australia. And then we have commitments, supports, and also my organization and CSIRO will also support so that IFIC, Indonesian Food Innovation Center, can actually become effective. If talking about the future, we can, I can say that we have a lot of things in the member of ASEAN to work together. If someday we have quick action programs in Jakarta, we'll be happy to support you. And also in terms of collaborations, we have quite a vast database on Indonesian food companies, Indonesian food research centers, and universities engaged in food research. So you are welcome if you want to have some context. Then if it can actually help you with the established database. Talking about what we are aiming at As I told that we are trying to make our food supply chain working. You see, because we learned that actually the real adding value happens and when you are going from the upstream to down. You see, the more, if you look at this trend, actually the more you are going downstream, the more adding value we have. But you cannot work within one country. Yeah, if you look at the food global value chain, Indonesia in the past has been focusing on food sufficiency, food security, enough food for our 265 million people, right? So we don't do much on how to add value to food. But now I think it's time that we have to talk about economic values of the food. And if you look at the earlier presentations, Indonesia is very similar, that the food sectors contribute very significant portion of our GDP. We eat, that's the basic thing to do, right? Before doing something else, or before education, before health, before housing and so forth, but we make sure that we want to have enough food first. So that's why the GDP composition becomes very heavy on having enough food for our people. And only recently we have our national long-term plan of industrial development stated that food is one out of the two priority sectors that the government wants to push. That is either is in the downstream food industry as well as in the agro-food industry on the upstream side. If you look at the adding value process, we realize that if we really want to prosper on food sectors, we have to work between countries, right? So at the moment, Indonesia is mainly in the food sector is mainly in the here we at very few added value. Even we are the largest world producers of palm oil, but mainly our export are CPO, right? We are the largest producers of seaweed, probably Philippines now become the second. But what we export mainly is actually dried seaweed. So this is the component of adding value of 2 out of 100. Okay, so we are actively promoting that if we want to prosper the food sector, we have to innovate. And to innovate, we cannot work only based on our own strength within the country, but we have to work with other countries as well. If you look at the value-adding process, when you do going downstream, and then we are going also to another countries, working with other countries, be that the market, the technology, or whatever, we will actually add value much more than what if it says plant, grow, and eat. Right? So that's what the idea of the global value chain. And Indonesia is very far behind in terms of adding value in the global value food value chain. Indonesian score is in the index is 29. We are far behind from Thailand, even China, and actually we are at the moment enjoying too much food import from China, also from Malaysia, right? Because they are doing more integration, they are more working on the global value chain than us. So there's a challenge and also opportunity for us to do that. So we try to also promote the government that let's work together with other countries. Let's go beyond just exporting raw materials so that we can actually have more value to our food value chain. So these are the proposition that is proposed that we, by having more value, we actually we can promote jobs, income, economic growth, which actually what our government in Indonesia wants to do. And one more thing that I learned from the scientists, it's probably we haven't done much on this. If you look at ASEAN, actually we are in the tropics, right? So actually every 6 months the season change, right? And then the southern hemisphere will have different season than the northern part. And if you look at the impact of the pattern of our agriculture, we have a different seasons, harvest seasons, right? So we haven't done much. This is a typical pattern of harvest, and this chart is about durians. Is our king fruits, right? The thorny king fruit. And if you look at this chart, we can think of probably among ASEAN countries we can share when to sell what to other or within ASEAN or other ASEAN other countries, so that we can actually cover the whole market from January to December. And we have, Indonesia at least haven't done much on this. So if within ASEAN countries we can actually share, work together, growing banana or pineapples or all other seasonal fruits, we could probably add value together rather than when we have harvest season, big harvest, the price drops. And a lot of waste, right? Because the harvest gives more than what we need. Also, if we work together within ASEAN countries, we could probably share the timing and then actually share also the harvest so that we can actually maximize the value of the harvest. Secondly, is on the what the Thai presenter said about innovation center for food. Actually, in the world, there are so many efforts to regionalize the efforts to do food innovation. We have in Canada, in US, and Food Fairy in Europe, Food Police, and recently I learned from Thailand there is another, what is called Food Something, right? So, we still have Blank here in ASEAN, and we have Thailand there, who's actually committed to become kitchen of the world. So just imagine if we can do this in the ASEAN-wide initiative, then we can have a bigger kitchen for the world. It's more successful kitchen. So that's our challenge. Our president also just appeared on a newspaper saying that innovation is to be pushed because in the what do you call it, the perception in Indonesian business is that innovation is risky, so much failures, right? Global statistics said that out of 100 innovation efforts that goes to really successful to the markets, only 2 or 4 or 5 maximum. So then many business people also said that why should we innovate if the risk is so much high? But the problem if we don't innovate, then actually we'll be left behind in the competition. So what the idea is, if we can work within ASEAN countries on food innovation, so how can we together help each other to mitigate the risk of innovating things, right? So first is about the initial scale. When a startup, when initial efforts is done, the biggest problem in many innovation efforts is initially you don't have enough market. So if you we learn from the case of China, why China has been successful in doing innovation, because they have more than 1 billion customers at start. Indonesia should have a fairly big market too, but if we can bring ASEAN together, we can have double the size of a market that actually will provide us with a good initial market for any innovation, including the food sectors. Also, secondly, is the innovation today, the big innovation, you need the multidisciplinary knowledge. So I believe that no single countries in ASEAN or in the world will have all of the knowledge, right? So if we work together, probably we can actually combine the knowledge so that any innovation that we put will be supported by good combination of knowledge to be successful. With exchange, being a free market, ASEAN market, we can do that now because ASEAN is a common market. And also the other thing is that if we can work as ASEAN, we could probably work on a mutual direction. Where are we going on food innovation? Not to serve the regional market of ASEAN, but also the global market. If we can actually complement each other, then probably it's better rather than we have to face a lot of overlapping of efforts and competing at the initial start. And the seasons, if we are talking about fruit seasons in particular, I believe that there's a lot of space for us to work together so that ASEAN is a country, the northern hemisphere and southern part can actually complement each other to cover the January to December fruit seasons together. And also standards, I wish to learn more about how to set the standards in our food sector and food industries because Indonesia is fairly weak in establishing standards, and we have to diverse in terms of food varieties. Now, I have to mention a bit on best practices. I have to admit that we haven't really studied the systematic efforts on the best practices, but we have fragments of efforts everywhere, including from our Indonesian Institute of Sciences. But look at the statistics of food, actually. We have in Indonesia some 1,340 ethnic groups. Some of them have a different language, different tradition, different many things, okay? And one of the professors in one of the university has initiated to make an encyclopedia of food and drinks of Indonesia, and he already collected some 3,000 different foods and drinks all over Indonesia. So, is it a blessing to have so many? Apparently, in the innovation space and industry, it is not, because it is very difficult to promote in a small and insufficient scale. When you have too many varieties, your efforts become spread over too thin. Okay, so this is our challenge, and the last is actually very important. Most our good delicacy, good food, is usually have short life because it's cooked at home and things like that, and we never think of selling it too far. We just cook and eat, cook and eat. So we don't have the reason to preserve and to make it having a longer shelf life. While in the global world, we have to have a food that you can actually sell as far as we could so that we can add more value. So this is the effort that basically I try to summarize what are the best practices that we could share from Indonesia. One is on the packaging, that we try to innovate on how to pack the food so that it can travel more longer miles and can be stored longer so that actually it may add value. And also, the more important thing is to avoid spoilage of raw materials, because we are dealing with, in food, we are dealing with perishable goods, right? So packaging, innovation in packaging become very important for us. We have started to produce canned food containing traditional delicacies of Indonesia. Notably, on the part here is the name of our Central Java delicacy called gudeg. It's made actually from young jackfruit and it's cooked in such a way that most of the Indonesians loves it. But it has a very short life. And now this gudeg has been put in cans, and now our Indonesian from all over the world can enjoy gudeg in Europe and US because it's put in can. And the sales is also showing a very good. This is just one company sales of gudeg in cans, which is actually doing very well. Secondly is we have in Indonesia a lot of local wisdom because we have so many cultures, subcultures and ethnics. So some of the scientists from the Bogor Agriculture University try to innovate by making use of one of our essential oil called kajuput. It's actually used for topicals for skin, actually to go against mosquito or toothache or whatever. And she converted it into candies. So from the hard candies, and then it's become like chewable candies and so forth. But we have a lot of challenge on how to change the perception that how can you eat something that you usually put on the skin and you don't put in the mouth. But after some time it's working well and it's becoming more popular. Our team here probably could share if you have some of the candy so that you can feel, actually our Ibu Ani there will have some stocks of kajuput candies that you could probably share. And there are hundreds of these kind of things that among Asian countries would like to benefit from the richness of Indonesian essential oils. There are so many things that we haven't done anything on that, aside to the traditional use of the essential oil. And this is now become a global product. It's called tempeh. So it's the soybean cake, right? It's now considered worldwide as a natural health products, health food. And our Institute of Sciences, the National Institute of Sciences, is doing a bit of innovation on how to convert the production of yeast from putting things on the leaves and then leave it for some days and then put it on the tempeh after that, and then you will have different tempeh, right? A bit sour there, a bit sweet there, and it's never standard. So the LIPI, the National Institute of Sciences, is actually by research trying to isolate and purify the strain of yeast so that it can be used more practically to the tempeh manufacturing, the tempeh makers. And now it's got 90% market share. Probably not in terms of commercial value, but the social impact is great, because then in Indonesia now you can have fairly standardized taste of tempeh all over Indonesia. So because the yeast is now available in the market in packs, you don't need to put things on leaves and then wait for a few days to make your own tempeh. We can actually have this instant yeast available in the market. Well, talking in Philippines, actually Indonesian banana is nothing, because actually the Philippines I think supplies more than 90% of the Asian market, right? So, but then we can actually be proud that we have more ripe banana in the market than in the Philippines. Sometimes overripe too, right? And mostly overripe. So we have to look for technologies how to make use of this overripe banana so that we can preserve it somehow, so that it doesn't go to waste so much. So the LIPI initiative is actually trying to find a simple technology that people can convert banana into something that you can preserve. Be there for snacks, and then some gluten-free snacks, and then cakes, and so on, and flakes. So those are the four things that we have done in general in food innovation. But talking about the variety of product, number of new products, innovative products, we haven't done much, so we cannot claim much. But we are trying to do this because of our, at the moment, focus on bringing sufficient food, health food for the people. So, let me close it with this. We are aiming going there into the downstream. Hopefully we can work with among Asian countries to serve the global market. That we can actually move from selling mangosteen, fresh mangosteen to China or even Taiwan, or dried seaweed all over the place, and then in many cases after it's exported to China or to Japan, then we imported the processed seaweed in terms of gelatin or pure carrageenan for our own use, which actually costs a price 100 or 500 times than dried seaweed. Tuna cans, tuna steak, lobsters, red snappers. Most are simple manufacturing from live smash snappers, frozen snappers into steak, snapper steak, frozen. And we have a lot of essential oils. We are producers of crude palm oil, world largest. But the value, if you look at it, we are trying to bring in more and more value by going downstream, processing it, and market it, brand it, and so forth. And pineapple, we are trying to compete with the Philippines, right? I think we are now a bit bigger than Philippines, but we haven't really exhausted our resources on that. We have some fairly innovative product, but this is not from our research and research centers, but it's from private initiative. One is Energen, is actually this snack for children with a good nutrition. And we have this, I think you have it in the Philippines, right? On drinks, Copico is candies that you keep you awake without drinking coffee. Good, it's now starting to become popular. And this is the top one, is the Indomie. Indomie is, we are not originator of noodle, but somehow we are now big in instant noodle. And the other one is, I got this one. It's our herbs, modernized herbs. It's we call it in Indonesian jamu, meaning it's a medication from traditional plants. But then some entrepreneurs make it into a easy to use and nice taste, so that now everybody in the cities, also overseas, feel like insecure if you travel, go on travel without bringing this. If you feel weak, you just drink one sachet and then feel great. I don't know whether it's medically proven, but at least you feel good by having this in your pocket. Yeah, okay. Last night I got a message from my boss in the Institute of Sciences saying that this got also message in the context of ACACIA. Yes, actually Indonesia has got plans to have events in the 2018 on the functional food and aspects of GMO prevention for ASEAN members. You are cordially invited to come and join. And ASEAN Food Conference in Bali. And 2020 will be application of nanotechnology and food. So that's what I'd like to convey to you from the officer who is actually in charge for this big ASEAN, Dr. Agus Haryono. And 2009, welcome you to Bali. Thank you.
Thank you, the Director Santosa. In as much as we have very limited time and we have a long day ahead of us, including the workshop, may I encourage all the questions from participants to address directly to Mr. Santosa after this during break. Thank you, Mr. Santosa. And now for our next speaker, she earned her doctorate degree in food science at the University of New South Wales. She is a prolific and multi-awarded researcher in the areas of food safety, food research, and food processing. She's concurrently the professor of the College of Home Economics, Food Science, and Nutrition Department of the University of the Philippines. She is the prime mover of the Food Innovation Centers in the Philippines, the pride of the Industrial Technology Development Institute of the DOST, our director, Dr. Maria Patricia Asan.
You have to forgive one lady in the introduction. She's my staff. She's very earnest in giving introduction. It's really nice to be with familiar faces and those who are really working with FIC. For all of you, thank you for coming. I am extremely happy to be the host of this seminar workshop. Florida, thank you for that very abundant introduction. Okay, we are now giving you the Philippine experience. Our FIC started 2013. I came to the DOST, the Department of Science and Technology, only 2015. But I am fondly called the Madam of the FIC of the Philippines because I helped it a lot and I am very happy helping it. And I will be helping it even if I am no longer with the DOST. For this presentation, I will introduce the Philippines being the host country. A very short one-pager, one-slide definition of best practices. The Philippine food industry profile as the inspiration for the FIC in the Philippines, its establishment. The FIC and its regional establishment in the Philippines. Our platform, the triple helix. The government, academia, and the industry. How we range, how we rank in terms of the establishment and operation of the FIC for best practices from the perspective of the government, future plans of the Philippine FIC, and the funding facilities for technology development in the Philippine FIC. So, in terms, I think I would have to introduce my country. So far, you have been in ALABANG. I know some of you have gone to the country before and have gone to some areas in the Philippines. But this is the map of the Philippines. We are over 1 million in population as of 2017 statistics. Depending upon the high tide and low tide, we have a variable number of islands. And we have 17 administrative regions. This is based on ethnicity and tradition. So here are icons, of course, our flag, our president, and some iconic representation of the food that is very popular in the country. allow me to present to you a very short video of introduction for our culture and tradition of the Philippines. I hope it takes a while. We were practicing with this last night about 4 o'clock. And I will...
Sambahin ka, O Yahweh, Diyos ng langit at lupa. Sambahin ka, O Yahweh, Ikaw ang Diyos na natila.
Right. That's a bit of cultural information. We will continue presenting that tonight. We will have a cultural night tonight, and hopefully it will not wait, so we can have it in the open space. But I get training outside, so we will have the those. So to get back to business. When we talk of, as far as the FIC in the Philippines, when we talk of best practices, these are things that we try to benchmark, and we use this is for widespread adoption. In any organization, we believe that the best practice can be internally, okay, from an organization, or externally from other organizations. So here is a sample model of best practice in food product development. Essentially, when we're talking of the FICs, we do a lot of, it is really a facility where we do product development. And we want so much for it to be successful when we try to develop something in the FIC. From ideation, it should go beyond what we know within the organization. And the development team should include not only that inside, but it should also in consultation with the consumers and the market that we would like to serve. We don't want to be copycats And one thing that we experience when we are establishing the FIC initially is to look at the market and try to copy it. And then after copying it, then we try to modify it and innovate from it. But we cannot always be just copying. We cannot deliver to the market the same product as others are delivering. And that is something that we're learning slowly in the Philippine FICs. And then during the development, some technical information should be in place. We cannot develop it without value adding, without the technical know-how that we know. And such we develop the FIC. So we could have claims to our product and it can be successful in the market. I adopted this sample model for best practice in food product development in one publication in 2003 in a scientific publication. So our inspiration for the FIC in the Philippines, as earlier cited by our Undersecretary, is that the MSMEs is a very big portion of the manufacturing industry in the Philippines. And we really need to provide an impetus to our food industry to be able to catch up. As you can see, our MSMEs is 99% of the industry in the country. Unfortunately, if you look at the next slide, it is quite skewed in areas where there is more development than the others. As you can see, our national capital region is the most is the area where we have most MSMEs, and the other three regions are lagging behind. That's why our former secretary created the FIC, because he wanted also to even out this skewedness as far as the food industry is concerned. Well, if you go around the Philippines, there is a lot of raw material that can be utilized. I was amazed to see that we have something like a pepper that can be used as paprika. We have sweet peppers in the regions that is not being used. And if we try to cultivate it, we can have paprika in the Philippines. We can even smoke it, but we are not doing so. Also, in our experience in the food industry, it is only in 2016 and 2017 that we have realized that we have cinnamon trees, where we can harvest cinnamon and we can harvest bay leaf. And it's also, to my new knowledge, but to an old knowledge of the Philippine forester, that in one tree you can have the cinnamon and you can have the bay leaf as the leaves. So these are new things, and we are not developing it. We have 19 cinnamon trees in the Philippines, and none of them are really commercially utilized. So hopefully, using the FICs, we can do that. We also have nutmeg trees. And we have 3 types of jackfruit trees in the Philippines. And we are not fully utilizing it. Just like Dr. Santosa, like Mr. Santosa's report, we cook, we eat, and that's just about it. No extension of shelf life. And I was happy to note that his presentation, there is the canning of the jantung of the pisaw or the heart of the banana, which is puso ng, I use our dialect, dilatang puso ng saging. And we are not doing that as well. We can use our puso ng saging as an artichoke. We could put it in brine, and we can have an equivalent of the European artichoke or the Western artichoke. So, if you look at the distribution of MSEs by industries as of 2015, the country, the manufacturing is 21%. However, our food industry has an impressive rate of growth in terms of volume of production and value of production, 22%. So that is quite impressive, considering its cut in the pie. So, the move towards creating the Food Innovation Center. Earlier, I think the most mature Food Innovation Center is in Malaysia and Thailand. I don't know about Singapore when it started, but with the Philippines and Indonesia, we're a little bit mature, but Indonesia is following soon. One aim of this gathering also is for other ASEAN member states to be really thinking of how to create FIC in their states, such that we can act as one market and one group trying to penetrate other markets. So our FIC the Philippine FIC would like to be a platform that offers facility for food processing and testing, that includes technical assistance for marketing, business development, and regulation compliance. Of course, the including part of this, including the marketing, business development, are things that is quite difficult in any FIC to pursue. And regulation compliance is something that is really, that would really require investment from the government. So I've been asking what platform of the different FICs are from the different presenters. Ours is the triple helix. I think most of us are following the triple helix, where we have the government asking for the assistance of the academe to penetrate the industry or to assist the industry. But Indonesia's platform is quite different because it is NGO assisting the government and the industry. I think Singapore and Malaysia and Thailand is all working with the government, to a certain degree working with the universities as well as the academy. So in our triple helix, we have at present operational FICs in our region, and also the oversight FIC, which is the main FIC under my institute. And by the end of 2017, we hope to have 17 operational regional FIC, with one main FIC as the oversight. Listed here are some of the equipment that we designed for the FIC and provided to the regions. Hopefully, in the future, this equipment will not be all the same for the various FICs, because our government is trying to provide, the DOST in particular, would want to have center of excellence in the regions, and this should vary depending upon what resources are present in the regions. So for the FIC personnel, which is academe-based, we have, of course, the food technologists, the machine operators, and university experts for business, hygiene, engineering, and IP. But the government provides oversight from national and regional DOST offices, because we have also our regional research institutes and testing facilities. Metrology and the technical testing is within my institute, and we provide assistance to all of the FICs. So what are our forms of FIC engagement? If the industry people or those doing research are already adapt to the use of the facility and equipment, then they can use it with little oversight from us. They can just rent the facility or use the facility. If, for example, they want to have some training, we also provide that with some expertise from the FIC. But if they want to get the technology that was developed by the FIC with some intellectual property protection, then we enter a memorandum of agreement through licensing. But there are times the driver of the technology development is the industry, so we do contract research using the facility. We do a lot of referral as well in our work. We refer in terms of equipment fabricator, tool packer, resources in terms of analysis and the like. So this is the concept of the establishment of the FIC under the triple helix. The government is supposed to be the developer of the FIC concept from the national to the regional. And then we are the provider of initial impetus for the FIC in terms of the science and technology, infrastructure, organization, and equipment. It is also the provider of the first generation of knowledge for the FIC, including efforts for human resource capability. So we give them a lot of training. We also provide initial funds for the 3 years operation of the FIC within the academic institution. So our FICs are located in academic institutions. And eventually, we turn over the management of the FIC to the academe after we have given them an initial drive or initial push for 3 years. Like in Thailand, if the FIC after the funding has been given to the responsibility for funding the FIC is given already to the academe, they can compete for funding as well. So everything is driven by proposals. So the FIC can ask from the different agencies of the government, including the Department of Science and Technology, for additional funding. And this could vary from 2 million, 3 million, and sometimes bigger. For the academia, these are it should negotiate between the government for its establishment and its unit. It is the developer of FIC physical facility. They have to provide a physical facility. So what we do is just guide them on the design, and we visit them. Then it should be at least GMP compliant because they have to register it in our FDA. They are the recipient of the first generation STI, or the Science, Technology, and Innovation Information, and the infrastructure deliverables coming from the government, national through the regional government. They are developer of systems for FIC sustainability scheme of operation and linked to the industry. As we go around from the government, as we try to consult with the FIC, there's a lot of issues related to this. Even if we turn over the facility to the academe, sometimes it's not very clear on what they are supposed to do. And they get confused on how to handle the FIC at their level. They react as if the FIC in the academic institution is for research purposes of their students and their teachers or their faculty. And that has to be clarified back again and again. And the information that eventually the funding of the government for the operation will not be timeless or would not be, and it would end sometime. So they have to earn on their own as well. We decided to place the FIC in academic institutions because they can manage their own funds. They can earn and manage their own funds, which is not happening for other government institutions in the Philippines. They can generate income and retain that income and let it grow for academic institutions. I don't know about other ASEAN member states, but that's our situation. For the industry, we obtain for them information about the raw material resources in the area where the FICs were located, their technological needs, their consumer preferences, and financial support requirements. So this is more or less the concept. But in terms of the actual ideal scenario or the best practice, in terms of the developer of from the government perspective, as developer of the FIC concept within the triple helix, we should have adequate consultation of state players in terms of the academe, the government, and the industry. We are quite good in visioning and having strategies for national and regional growth of the FIC. But we have still to reckon with industry technical needs, available resources, and trade environment in each of the region where the FICs are located. Because if you situate the the FIC in any area, you have to know all of this information, and we have to still work with this. In terms of academic RTIs, what expertise in food processing they have and how mature their technology are in terms of that competency that can be put into place in the FIC. Another indicator of another innovation index that we have to look at is the design tasks are planned based on definite vision, expertise, resources, strategies within the relationship of the three stake players. We still have to really coordinate with each other. As provider of initial impetus for the FIC, we're good in providing the organizational setup, in conceptualizing it. We are having and had some problems in terms of the provision of locally fabricated equipment. We were able to provide, generate some information in terms of knowledge, including capability building, and the government is able to actually provide funds for the FIC operation. In terms of operation of the FIC, the first one is about establishment. In terms of the operation of the FIC, we should be the provider of incentives to stimulate innovation to product development. This would take some various forms of some rewards. Provider of venues for industry linkages and techno transfer, I think we have done that. Developer of monitoring system for FIC operations, and become the overall steward of FIC growth at least for the first 3 years. For the academia, they should develop custodianship as responsible for the knowledge that would be there for the FIC, not only that, for the operation of the FIC. And link with STI knowledge adapters, link with the industry. At the present, our Philippine FIC's effort to link with the industry is coming from both the national government and the regional. There's a great effort of the regional government to prove the DOST to, in the regional level, to link with the industry, but the national government is still providing that effort. The industry is the initiator of the STI based on business from FIC developed technologies, and should be the engines of growth in the region. Ideally, if you are for the incentives to stimulate innovation on product development, we have to have additional support for innovation. And this can come as a form of recognition and awards for innovation. We have some awarding of best innovative product in our FICs. We let them compete and we provide them with monetary awards and recognition. Additional research money for the FIC, I think we're providing that. For this year, I think I'm looking now at one member of the funding institution. They will be given at least 2 million pesos per FIC just for product development. And these are their mini optimization efforts for one product, and they would have to do that. And it's not even difficult to defend it because the money is there. They just have to have a right proposal for it. We hope that we would arrest duplicities in the development, so we check what they are developing, because initially we have duplicate works, duplicate products in the FIC. It's quite difficult to manage. We are now managing 10. And if we are managing 18, it's really difficult. And our FICs is not very proximate to each other. We're far away from each other. I was being asked by our undersecretary, do you have an IT system to connect your FICs? We will propose that. I said there's a proposal for that. So providers of venues for industry linkages, techno transfer opportunities, we we're not remiss in this, especially both the regional and the national government. We provide a lot of techno transfer events like sales pitching. When I came, at DOST, sales pitching is a new term. We had to introduce the concept of sales pitching. The developer of the technology must be able to sell it. Because I think the best seller of a technology is the maker of the technology. You cannot transfer that effort to a marketing group who would not know the details of the technology. The best seller of the technology is the developer of the technology. Otherwise, the transfer would just like be, there's a gap in information. Development of monitoring systems, we have to evaluate the following: the systems of implementation, industry engagement, harmonization of government IPR, help promote techno transfer, and manage day-to-day FIC operation. In terms of stewardship of FIC growth, we have to see to it that technology development is managed, transferred, licensed, and protected. So, just like any government funding project, we have our issues. And together with our issues are things that we can do for the FIC to help improve its functioning. We were designed to be a prototyping facility. We have the utmost we can do samples for the market. But when we are judged based on our capacity to see to it that everything is commercialized. But there are things that we have to address before we are able to do that. And I call this the choke points of the FIC growth. And this would go, we are being evaluated in terms of products in the market, both consumer and intermediate products or the ingredient products, the availability of the equipment that has been fabricated in the local environment, available alternative tools and process if the equipment are not there, and the networking of the FIC to prevent duplicity. So to address that, these are the plans for the FIC until 2022. We would like to do, for the product development, we would like to enhance the competency of our people in terms of gated approach for product development. It is being practiced by the industry, it's not being practiced by FIC. This is, it's from ideation to launch, and we have to do that the way the corporate people are doing it. And also to teach our industry adapters also in the future. Then if we are to if we have a technology on a prototype scale, technology validation should be there. In fact, I think for those who would develop their FIC, it should be clear that you are not selling the product, you are selling the technology. It was a while before I was able to relate that, because you only show the product as an application of the technology, but you are not selling the product. What you are selling is the process to do the product. For equipment, local fabrication is an effort. I think Malaysia and Thailand and perhaps Indonesia is quite effective in this, but we have to learn local fabrication of equipment. We are also trying to come up with some efforts in terms of providing toll facilities and even TDIs. And we are also looking as a short-term effort to provide our industry adapters of imported equipment, how to get them, where to get them, have we evaluated them. Actually, we're doing that. Technology transfer issues, marketing and promotion, we have to teach our people at the FIC to help to do some marketing of their technology, and then be active in the techno transfer activities. Then for knowledge management, we are trying to network as an FIC. 70 to 80 FIC networking for inter and intra control of knowledge. Knowledge management should be there. There's a lot of information, there's big data eventually, and we have to archive this and to share it with everyone. So, in terms of DOST, the DOST funding facilities for DOST developed technology, if it's an FIC developed technology from prototyping that needs fine-tuning, then we have some funding, the pre-commercialization grant, some amount is given, and that's within our system, the DOST. For improved technology for commercialization, we develop that as well, together with our MSMEs collaborator. Even the patenting, trademark, copyright, we have that funding facility within the DOST. Once we're ready, we can do venture financing, startup of up to 2 million, acquisition and publication of equipment, and some technical assistance. And if they don't have money to buy the raw material, there is purchase order financing, financial support for cost of raw material for processing. But if they're really, really ready, and they have been doing that for at least 3 years, then they can go under our setup, upgrading and expansion. All throughout of this, we already have a partner with the MSMEs. So let me wrap up. My presentation has been all of this. I'm not reading this anymore. And hopefully we would have a nice discussion of the different platforms of the FIC later on. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asansa. Our next speaker is a chemical engineer from the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. He completed his master's in applied science, major in food engineering from the University of New South Wales, and at present completing his doctorate degree in agricultural engineering from the University of the Philippines in Los Baños. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief of the Food Processing Division, Industrial Technology Development Institute, DOST, Engineer Norberto G. Ambagan.
Good morning. And to the foreign delegates, again, welcome to the Philippines. I will be presenting to you the experiences that we had on the acquisition and use of facilities, use of locally fabricated equipment for food product research and development and innovation. The outline of this presentation is as follows. I will discuss the importance and need for food processing equipment and the market situation. And then the earlier strategies that DOST did in fast-tracking technology development. That includes equipment acquisition and prototyping. And then the establishment of food innovation centers and the efforts to feature the locally developed equipment in the FICs. Well, I would like to start this presentation by emphasizing the need for food processing equipment in food innovation. Collectively, the methods and techniques used to transform raw ingredients into food is referred to as food processing technology. In a more technical manner, we can say that this technology includes procedures, unit operations, and processes to achieve the intended changes to the raw materials. And this transformation involves not only the technology, but also the equipment associated with it. The equipment helps to transform the raw food ingredients into food items through various physical and chemical means. In most instances, the equipment itself is the key to any technological innovation. In specific operations, the name of the developed equipment is synonymous to the name of the technology, or vice versa. When a certain technology is conceived, it goes through different stages in the developmental panel. Starting from the conception of the idea, it goes to laboratory testing, piloting stage, scale up to commercial stage, technology transfer, and then its use as service or its application. At the end of the funnel, at the lower right, products are developed wherein the necessary processing equipment plays a vital role. In this figure, you may notice that the products of technology on high pressure is already on the market, as presented by the presenter from Singapore. However, the food processing technologies that we are now familiar with have gone through this funnel. You might be surprised that these common technologies that we have now are not new. Examples of which are the very old canning technology by Nicholas Appert. It was developed in 1790. Louis Pasteur's pasteurization in 1862. The first spray drying patent was made in 1872. Nobody's alive yet. The first retort was fabricated by Schreiber in 1874. Very long time. The first two-roll drum dryer was made in 1902, turn of the century. And the Arsenal's freeze drying was made in 1906. And the famous bird's eye quick freezing was very early in 1924. So the need for food processing equipment is driven by several factors. First is the large customer base for food products, or the population challenge. We are now more than 7.6 billion, almost 10% in ASEAN countries, with changing habits, taste, and preference. And of course, the changing lifestyle that we have at the present. Consumers have higher incomes now and demand for more options and convenience. And of course, these consumer dictated factors drive for more innovations, and thus the need for more processing equipment. In one industry overview, it says that, and let's recall, in ASEAN, the demand for machinery and equipment for the food and beverage industry is significant. And the domestic machinery industry has yet to reach the level of meeting the needs of internal demand. It is common among ASEAN countries that the majority of food processors are micro and small in size. And the need for food processing equipment to cater to these businesses is mostly satisfied by importation. 70 to 95% of the processing equipment are imported. At the higher range, you'll see the Philippines, Singapore, and Vietnam, with about 90 to 95% importing the machineries. While at the lower range, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand. The Asia Pacific food processing machinery market was worth $13 billion in 2016. And it's estimated to reach $20 billion by 2021. Whereas for the global scenario, the global food processing machinery and equipment market is projected to reach $70 billion by 2022. So just looking at these figures, there is a real need for food processing equipment, both for food innovation and production. Now, let me share to you the Philippine experience on localizing food processing equipment. To fast-track technology development in the mid-1990s, I was then new at the institute, the DOST acquired several laboratory and pilot-sized food processing equipment. These include vacuum fryer, spray dryer, we have the double drum dryer, a freeze dryer, and we even acquired a supercritical fluid extractor and twin screw extruder. Product development trials were conducted using this equipment and generated lots of interest. However, the high cost of this equipment was a problem for technology adopters. At this point, there were initial attempts made to localize the fabrication of similar food processing equipment. Moving a little forward, faced with the same situation on high cost of equipment, the DOST in 2011 started a project to design and develop process equipment for food processing firms. This was started by our previous Secretary Montero. This is under the High Impact Technology Solutions Program, or HITS. The working teams include the food product developers, the design engineers, and some local equipment fabricators. The equipment designed and fabricated under this project include vacuum fryer. So these are the local versions of the previously acquired equipment. Spray dryer, freeze dryer, water retort, even immersion freezer and vacuum sealers. So those pictures are the first generation of the prototypes made during that time. And product trials were conducted using, again, this prototype equipment. In 2013, to further speed up the food product development in the country, regional FICs were established. This was discussed earlier by Ma'am Asansa. Initially, the FICs were projected to be into 9 regions, and then later to a total of 18 regions throughout the country. Now, local suppliers and fabricators were tapped to provide the production of the newly developed food processing equipment prototypes. This would be the first time that these fabricators will be doing customized equipment design for food processing. So most of the type of equipment that they've been doing are not in a way very similar to this type of equipment. Some of the issues considered include the readiness of the local fabricators to replicate the prototypes. Of course, the cost of fabrication versus purchasing imported units. The duration or time needed to manufacture several units of equipment. And also, one concern is the availability of the components needed for the equipment. There were several challenges encountered during the actual fabrication stage. First is the actual realization of the prototype design. Several modifications on the design were made to improve the prototypes. So I think this is normal when you develop machines. And to facilitate the fabrication process. The availability of the specific special components is a significant consideration at this stage. And the use of alternatives can affect the performance of the equipment. A small failure or mistake in the process can lead to repeated cycles and thus extend the learning curve. Functional and performance tests are conducted to validate the options that were adopted when you replace a certain component by another component. Unacceptable results put added stress to the whole team, more so when time is of the essence. Anyway, after so much time spent and cycles and modifications, the equipments were successfully fabricated. The next step is to conduct training. Training of the personnel in the FICs on the operations and maintenance of the equipment. And it is always necessary that the concept of the food process is well understood by the food innovators prior to the operation of the technology tool or the equipment. So the locally designed and fabricated food processing equipment for the FICs product prototyping include the following. So we have a spray dryer, freeze dryer, vacuum fryer, and water retort. This is the second generation of the prototypes. And tomorrow, the foreign delegates will be able to witness a demonstration and a little hands-on on operating these machines at our office at ITDI. So, in summary, the learning experience that we have, I would say that the design and fabrication of the key food processing equipment is a process consisting of design, prototyping, production, and evaluation. This process involves several working teams: the food product developers, where we get the idea, the design engineers, external consultants, local fabricators, and at the end, the technology users. The process learning curve may take time. So this is the actual experience that we have. And the experience work pays. This is just like in any new ventures that you enter to. The process can be improved and the process cycle can be considered as work in progress. Some of the future strategies to improve the process would include the following. I think the addition of more designers, both young and experienced, in functional and industrial design would help the completion of this process cycle. Then, uplifting the capability of our local fabricators, which are not used to the type of food processing equipment that we have asked them to do, would help in terms of their skills, quality and workmanship, and understanding of standards that would address the specific requirements of manufacturing food processing equipment. There might be a need to organize a network of fabricators, experts, suppliers that would specialize or cater to specific components of the food processing equipment. Example would be like the mechanical parts, machining work, electrical, control of machines, instrumentation, and the finishing. There could be an equipment assembler or builder that would be getting parts and even fabrication tasks from a network of suppliers, rather than what we did during this time, rather than doing all the total custom fabrication process. I think this is one thing that we did has stumbled into some problems, or we experienced lots of delay. So with this, I would like to end this presentation and thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Ambagan. Our next presenter is DOST's former Assistant Secretary for Countryside Development, and also the current President of the Cagayan State University. And to deliver in her behalf the best practices and future prospects of the first FIC in Cagayan Valley is Dr. Dennis Policar, who is the project leader of the Cagayan State University and the Department of Science and Technology Region 2 Food Innovation Center. Let's give a warm applause to Dr. Dennis Policar.
To our ASEAN member states delegates, again, our warmest welcome. To the DOST officials led by the Central FIC Director and ITDI Director at the same time, Dr. Pat Hansa, our warmest greetings. So, in behalf of my dear President, who is in Brunei right now, delivering also a keynote address, the very important academic engagement and partnership, I will be delivering to you her lecture. First, let me begin by having this video clip.
Food Innovation Center was established in 2014 through the initiative of CSU President Urtuha Alvarado Tejada, who was then the regional director. To establish the center, DOST Region 2 transferred an amount of 1,234,464 pesos as a package support for the common service facility. CSU's counterpart amounted to 1,310,000 pesos. The FIC envisions the accessibility of innovative technologies, relevant support services, technical expertise, necessary infrastructures and facilities for small-medium enterprises in the urban centers and countryside. Through this, more effective technology application, deployment and commercialization for sustained economic growth and productivity shall ensue. The goal of the CSU DOST-2 Food Innovation Center is to produce value-added agricultural and fishery food products through innovation. The concept of innovation centers is one of the several reasons why the Department of Science and Technology keeps its relevance to the lives of other people. It is likewise one of the many reasons why the Cagayan State University is a willing and active partner of DOST in many of its activities in areas of research and extension. With the implementation of ASEAN integration, the FIC provides the Cagayan State University and all other stakeholders in the region an opportunity to participate positively in the food market. The FIC also provides faculty members of the university a research laboratory. The CSU DOST Food Innovation Center has a limitless potential and enjoys bountiful possibilities. While others see just another food innovation center, we see a very potent engine for growth for Region 2.
Okay, so the DST CSU Food Innovation Center was established on April 2014 through a memorandum of agreement that was signed by DOST Region 2 under the then Director and erstwhile Assistant Secretary of Department of Science and Technology, Dr. Urtuha Tejada, and the Cagayan State University. So initially it was known as the Cagayan State University Department of Science and Technology Region 2 Innovation Hub. However, it was later renamed as DOST Region 2 Food Innovation Center. So incidentally, we were one of the first 3 regional food innovation centers during that time, along with Davao FIC, and Tacloban Food Innovation Center. So it serves as a center for innovation, as well as support services for the development of processed foods in the Cagayan Valley region. So by the way, Cagayan Valley region is the one located at the uppermost part of the Philippines, down north. Okay, so we are covered by this program framework. So we have the EXECOM, or the technical consultants. So we have the DOST director and then the CSU president. We also have overall coordinator. We have the program manager and the program leader. So from the time it was established up to the present, I act as the project leader. And then under this, we have actually 4 departments. The first one is that of the Industry Assistance Unit. We also have the PINO unit for the program for the improvement of nutrition of young children. We have the Basic Research Unit, and we have the Equipment Operation and Maintenance Unit. Now under this, we have our different stakeholders to whom we make engagements with. With regards to the finance and resources of the Food Innovation Center, the center generates funds through internal funding. So we do what we call as counterparties. So the Cagayan State University usually provide counterpart funds. And then of course the Department of Science and Technology through the regional GIA, as well as ITDI and PSERD funding. We also have what we call as regional funding coming from a consortium, the Severe Debt funding, and of course the technical services provided to us by the ITDI of DOST, serving as the central FIC. Now the center offers its services through the following modes of engagement. First, we usually let the various micro, small, and medium enterprises use our facilities. We also provide technical service for them. We transfer technology. We help them do licensing processes, and also those products that we generate, we license them. And then we also do referral. We conduct contact research and development. We do packaging and labeling in-house for our products, as well as packaging and labeling assistance to micro, small, and medium enterprises. We also have what we call as lakbay-aral. So lakbay-aral, this is a vernacular term or a Filipino term wherein students as well as researchers coming from other institutions would come to us to pay visit and do benchmarking. And then we do technology training. So at the lower part of the slide, you will see the HITS equipment that have been endowed to us by the ITDI, being our mother and our central food innovation center. So at the far right, we have the water retort. Next to it, we have the vacuum fryer. We have the spray dryer. And at the leftmost side, we have the freeze dryer. By the way, ITDI also gave us our very first vacuum packaging machine. As mentioned a while back, we generate funds or extra funds coming from our regional consortium, the Severe Debt. For the last 3 years, Under the project development of food products from DOST developed food processing equipment utilizing region 2, again Valley Local Resources, we were granted funding for our spray-dried citrus fruit juice. And then for year 2, for the commodity vacuum fried okra. And for this year, we are doing the Carabao papaitan or bitter stew in retort pouts. Likewise, the PSERD that granted us funding for our project development of intermediate food products coming from local plum or tulia, and also this is bagong, or this is fish paste, as well as other products coming from our region. Okay, so being in RDI, we usually do this product and process concept development and come up with prototype product concept. So first we have the product concept, and then followed by process design. The expected output there is, of course, product design specifications, and this would be transformed into a pilot scale production. So under it, as expected output, we have prototype product specifications. And the program is actually governed by this sustainability framework. So we envision that by the year 2020, our center will be a center of standards and excellence on food innovations and technology services producing world-class products. And for our core values, we have excellence, productivity, we have innovation, we have competence, as well as that of teamwork. So in a while, I will be sharing with you some of our best practices, being one of the first 3 food innovation centers in the Philippines. Okay, our first best practice is compliance to ITDI requirements. Okay, so in the slides, you will see how we comply and how we transform this old building here into what we have now, the Food Innovation Center in our region. So we complied with ITDI requirements, among them the following. Okay, of course, we have the glass enclosures, and then the replacement of all the wooden parts of our former laboratory building that had been turned into the Food Innovation Center. Also the placement of claddings in all the corners of the building to avoid the adherence or the accumulation of dirt, which is a big no-no in food processing. And then likewise, the acquisition of food grade equipment, as well as tables, cabinets, as well as other food grade stainless steel paraphernalia. And then incidentally, we are also the first regional food innovation center that have complied with the Food and Drug Administration of the Department of Health requirement to acquire LTO, or license to operate. So we are a holder of an LTO which is valid up to year 2018, June 1, 2018. So this has been granted to us last June 1 of 2015. Okay, our third best practice is the application of utility models. Okay, so we have applied to the ITO Philippines, or Intellectual Property Office Philippines, 7 utility models. So right now we are holders of these 7 utility models. The first one is the process of producing crispy snack food from mixed vegetables. We simply call that mixed veggies. We likewise hold the utility model for process of producing crispy snacks from squash, process of producing crispy snacks from sweet potato. We also applied for a utility model for the composition of crispy snack food made from mixed vegetables. Utility model for composition of powdered beverage. Utility model for composition of powdered seasoning. And utility model for the process of producing powdered seasoning. Our next best practice is, of course, the benchmarking that we do in Asian countries. So last November of May 2013, the EXECOM, as well as different department heads of the CSU DOST-2 Food Innovation Center visited Malaysia. So this picture here was taken when they were in the Bureau of Fisheries in Penang, Malaysia. And then here are photographs of their visit in the different food processors in Penang as well as in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So the lowermost part picture is the DOST director then, who is now the CSU president, Ma'am Tejada. And then last year, the staff of the Food Innovation Center once again visited Malaysia, and they visited the Mardi in the Kuala Lumpur. Another best practice that we could share with you is the conduct of various promotional activities. So promotional activities, because we are now on our 3rd year of operation, and we are promoting what we have achieved to the different stakeholders. So the academe, the local government units, the micro, small, and medium enterprises. And we usually reach them out by hosting what we call as visits in our center. We also publish various materials such as these different leaflets as well as brochures. And then we also seek the help of various publications, both local as well as national. And we also have our social media sites to share what we have done and how far we have gone. Okay, so these are some of the glimpses of promotional activities that we have conducted in the center. So visits actually of various schools, various teachers, LGUs, as well as micro, small, and medium enterprises and technopreneurs in our region. Now, for our 6 best practice, we usually participate in science and technology competitions. So among those that we have actually entered as commodities or products entered as entries into various contests are the following. So we have the crispy mixed veggies, so that won first place in the utility model category of the last regional invention and competition exhibition in the region. We likewise garnered second place in the creative research category, having as an entry the development of intermediate food products from Kuya and Divis Bagong from Region 2. Okay. And we likewise have national winners. So last year when the ITDI conducted the contest on the best developed products, we have actually entered 20 various products, and some of the winners are the following. We have the crispy sprouted bongo, which garnered the most innovative product industry choice award of vacuum fried sprouted bongo. We likewise have, we likewise have the ready-to-eat ube for the Ibatan. This is an Ibatan dish made up of banana root balls with flying fish, which garnered second most innovative product. Okay, the freeze-dried Arius, another commodity coming from the island province of Batanes. Freeze-dried Arius berry, which garnered second most innovative product. Another product coming from the island province of Batanes, we have the blue pea. So we subjected that to freeze drying and came up with freeze-dried blue pea flour. So it's a finalist. So we have the inasal sauce also, or the bamboo shoot sauce, another finalist, and of course the Mongol peeling, a finalist also. Okay, so these are some of the products that we have entered into that competition. Okay, the most important best practice that we can share is our all-out support to micro, small, and medium enterprises. So we assist them not only in developing their products, not only in improving their labels as well as their packaging, but we transfer also technology to them that have been generated by the center. In fact, last August 25, we had in Region 2 the first Regional Technology Transfer Day conducted by Department of Science and Technology Regional Office number 2. And we are very proud that the center has actually transferred different technologies to micro, small, and medium enterprises, or what we call as the technopreneurs. And among them are the following. Okay, we have the vacuum fried sweet potato, vacuum fried sprouted bongo, vacuum fried mixed veggies, and bongo fillings. So these were adopted, or being adopted, I should say, by a cooperative, Lighthouse Cooperative. And our neighboring state university, the Isabela State University Cabagan campus, likewise adopted the ready-to-eat pancit Cabagan. Well, pancit in Filipino is a noodle dish. And this pancit Cabagan is very, very popular in our place. And it is actually a delicacy that they usually go there into, and these have been adopted by Isabela State University Cabagan campus. Now another campus of Isabela State University likewise adopted our developed bamboolicious products. And then a private technopreneur adopted water retort fried fish. Local government unit of Itchari Isabela adopted the organic vegetable products. The local government of Kawayan City likewise adopted the bamboo wine and bamboo ketchup. And then another private technopreneur adopted our coffee products. And then also a private technopreneur adopted sweet potato chips, ubi chips, and garlic chips. And then the local government of Santa Ana, the farthest or the northernmost part town of our province of Cagayan, adopted the pineapple gravy and the dried pineapple. Now we also have a tie-up previously with this JMD Marketing Industries, and it adopted our NutriGirls, and the last but not least, the RLGB food products adopted our spray-dried bugday and vacuum fried mix veggies. Okay, so we also do customized services. So we extend customized services, among them product and process development, product and process improvement, product sensory evaluation, packaging and labeling, and then the toll packaging or rental of equipment to these various micro, small, and medium enterprises who cannot afford to come down here in Manila. And then we likewise conduct technology trainings, technology consultancy and advisory, and research assistance to undergraduate and graduate students. Okay, so these are some of the glimpses of the customized services that we have extended to our various stakeholders. Okay, so in terms of packaging and labeling, we assisted some of the private entrepreneurs in our place. So example is the Barako coffee, we have the Muscovado sugar here, the fried peanut, the banana chips. All of these have been, these are upgraded labels and packaging, courtesy of the Cagayan State University Department of Science and Technology Region 2 Food Innovation Center. Okay. So conduct technical trainings as well as seminars. So we, whenever LGUs or local government units request for live field trainings as well as technical seminars, we normally accede to their requests, and these are done for free. So we conduct technical trainings not only to local government units but also to the academy. So this photo at the lower leftmost part of the slide was taken during a technical training conducted among high school teachers. And then moving forward, okay, we envision, or we would like to continue our R&D on the producing innovative products. So we will continue on what we have started. And we would like to expand also the network as well as linkages that we have established, both locally, regionally, on the national level, and hopefully if we can make linkages outside the country, we'll do it. And then, of course, to increase the number of technology adapters who will patronize our various products. Because in the final analysis, this is our mandate to produce products and to have as many technology adapters that we can have. And with this, again, in behalf of my university president, I would like to thank you for taking your time listening to this lecture. Thank you very much. And
Thank you very much, Dr. Policar, for sharing to us the experience of Cagayan State University. Before we go into break, may we call back Dr. Asansa to explain to us the mechanics for this afternoon's workshop. Dr. Asansa. And at the same time, there will be a minor change of schedules. And Dr. Carl Balica will be our resource speaker in the afternoon.
After you really have a workshop, everything has been discussed. We will try to sort out things. We would have questions for those with FICs, and we would have questions for those who would have potential to start their FICs. And we would separate, and this would be the mechanics of the workshop for this afternoon. We still have our secretary would try very hard to come this afternoon. He is just in a meeting in the palace, but he is coming to us this afternoon. And we would have another person who would talk to us. He is we call him our ambassador of science and technology, but he's working with the media. So he is with us in some of our activities for the FIC. We were introduced to this person by people from the region, and we consider him an asset because he promotes the FIC through the mass media. So this is our workshop mechanics for this afternoon. We would have this after lunch, and we would be grouping ourselves as ASEAN member state. We would have small tables outside, and we would put your small plugs in each table, so you can have your own discussion. And we have the various groups, including the Philippines, which is group 7. The Philippines would stay here and group yourselves into 4, but the various countries, you can group yourselves per country outside the table, in the table outside. So the Philippines, being the larger participant here, they can group themselves in terms of cluster. We have the cluster Mindanao, the cluster Visayas, and for the bigger cluster of Luzon, we have the North Luzon and South Luzon. And you can be led by each of your cluster head, and for NCR can lead one of the cluster, because I know one of the cluster, Philippine North Luzon cluster without any definitive lead. But anyway, is NCR around here? Okay. So, questions for AMS with existing FIC. We would want you to work with this. This would include people from Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. What best practices from other AMS can you implement in your existing network, and why? And if you're not planning to implement it, why? You will be given this questionnaire per table. In terms of organizational structure, in terms of their R&D, their financial sustainability scheme, techno transfer, and technical services. I think each and everyone was given a stick, and all of our presentations are there. You can read and you can revisit it, and as you answer this, we will try to come up with a paper with this, hopefully, and acknowledge the representation of all the participants here. We would offer it, but we would acknowledge all of your participation, and we can have this as an FIC publication from the ASEAN. How will you implement these recommended best practices to the existing FIC system network in your state? And then for questions for AMS with potential to establish the FIC, correct me if I'm wrong, these are those member states that would like to eventually have their FIC. Am I correct that Brunei is without FIC yet? Together with Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Vietnam, you still would develop your FIC? Anyone from Vietnam? Are you developing your FIC, or do you have your FIC already? So you would want to have the first set of questions rather than this. Okay. For those with potential to establish the FIC, questions like starting, is there a need to establish an FIC in your state? If you think that it is needed, what agency in your company should champion or take the lead, and why? Based on what you have learned from the seminar, what models can be adopted, what the various platforms? Singapore, I was informed earlier that it's a one-stop center with very clear link with the academic institution. And it works with the industry very well. Malaysia is the more mature FIC amongst the established FIC among the AMS. Am I right? Yes, I think you were way ahead of us. Able already to establish a holding, its own company. We are far away from that, and we look forward. I was being instructed by my undersecretary to think about establishing a holding. I said that I will have to talk with Malaysia related to that. What are the details of establishing a holding? Because that would be functioning like a private institution that do business. So it's quite mature. And for Thailand, this is it's from Easter, presented the Inno Food that can provide full-scale service throughout the value chain, food value chain. And I know the Inno Food is quite new, but your FIC in Thailand is well developed as well by another institution. Also in Singapore, I think I met people, but this is from the private companies. And they have a well-established innovation center for specific products in line with their business. These are those connected with DuPont. Yes, I discussed with them the possibility of doing a disaster food using the DuPont packaging material, and it's quite advanced, their technology. So for Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia, and of course Indonesia is working with an NGO, very unique as well. None of the others are working with an NGO, and the trigger for the FIC is coming from a non-government agency, and with the assistance of the government eventually, I guess, sir. Okay. So, how would you communicate if, based on what you have learned from the seminar, what can be adopted, and how would you communicate the chosen platform to your champion for the realization of the establishment and operation of the FIC in your state? this is based on the premise that the government more or less should be present in the establishment of the FIC, because the sustainability of the FIC more or less will come from the government as well. So this will be our work this afternoon. Before we take a break, I just have given you the mechanics for the workshop. So we are waiting for the secretary as well as the last speaker, and then we start our work. So hopefully we will be finished, and in the afternoon we will have our own special event for that section. Okay? Yeah. So don't worry about the presentation of the workshop. These will be all gathered by the Philippine organizer. Outputs of each AMS, answers to be given to the questions shall be submitted to assigned presenter of the workshop. I have assigned my deputy, Dr. Briones, for AMS with existing FIC to present, and Norbert, the other speaker, Engineer Norbert, for AMS with potential to establish FIC. Ma'am, from the delegation from Thailand, I saw this practice. You have to consolidate the presentation very quickly, and I've learned it from what when we attended the workshop in Thailand. That is how it was done, and I will do it the same here. So the presentation will be quite polished and quick to be presented, and all the questions can be later attended when we disseminate the final paper for the workshop. Presenters will consolidate and synthesize the outputs. Presentation of workshop output will start at 4:15 p.m. So that is our work for this afternoon. I will turn over the floor to the host to guide us on what to do next.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asansa. Now we'll have our lunch break. Hopefully we could resume our activities after an hour, so around 1:30. Okay, so please enjoy your lunch. Thank you very much.